Welcome back to Her Perspective. Thousands of Jamaican women enter this life-changing experience every single day. No, it's not a day at the spa, it's not an outpatient clinic for plastic surgery, and it's certainly not optional. What is it that I'm talking about? It's menopause, often referred to as the big monster. Over the generations, it's been called the change of life for more reasons than one.
For many women, menopause comes abruptly. Sooner than they're 51, the average age of the body's natural cessation of menses due to the 6,000 hysterectomies performed especially in the US each year. For the rest, this unavoidable rite of passage often sneaks up after a 6-month to 10-year hormonal time warp called perimenopause.
Now, joining us to learn more about this issue of menopause and the experiences associated with it are Mrs. Claudette Genus, Director of Women's Ministries at the East Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Elder Joan Clark. She serves as the elder assigned to the Women's Ministries Department at the Kencott Seventh-day Adventist Church, and Ms. Marva Finley, medical technologist and health educator at the University of the West Indies, Mona.
Ladies, thank you for joining us. And we go straight to Marva. Marva, give us some answers. What is menopause?
Well, menopause is an event. Most persons think of it as a time period, but clinically, menopause is an event, and it is actually defined as the day after the end of your very last menstrual flow. But commonly, the word menopause is used to refer to the time leading up to that one last day. So you see, it is a one-time event, but the period up to it is called perimenopause.
So you're actually saying that there are stages of this thing called menopause, Marva?
Exactly what I'm saying. So for common man says menopause is actually talking about perimenopause, and the time after menopause is postmenopause. So you see, menopause, well, we'll just use the common man's language when we talk about menopause here, shall we? And it's going to be the time leading up to the actual cessation of menstruation and the time after the cessation of menstruation.
So it is after the period of menstruation that one can be considered
postmenopause.
Postmenopause. All right. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me give you some more information on that now. So what we have here is perimenopause is a term used, as I said, to describe the period leading up to the actual menopause, or the menopause transition years. And in women who have a uterus intact, it describes the year before and after the final period, as I said. Now, perimenopause is technically defined as the time when the menses actually starts to become irregular, and a hormone called the follicle-stimulating hormone levels have increased until the time when it is known that the period has actually stopped. However, you find that the hormonal changes are gradual, both in onset and in duration. And so the various possible perimenopausal effects often start before and continue after this very, very neatly defined time slot. Now, it is during perimenopause that we have the ovaries ceasing the production of the hormones start to decrease. And that is when you start to have a very wide and unpredictable fluctuation in the levels of the hormones. And then during this time, the fertility is going to decrease. However, fertility is not considered to be zero until the official date of menopause.
Wow.
And listen now, menopause, for the date of menopause to be fixed, you have to wait until 1 year has passed. That is 12 consecutive months must pass after the last appearance of menstrual blood for you to actually pinpoint the day of menopause. I hope that will clarify things a little bit.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Certainly, Marva. Question to our ladies here. What comes to mind when you think of the word menopause? I mean, I know Marva just put it into perspective a while ago. She gave the medical background. But what is it that comes to mind when you think of this word?
Well, for me, it's freedom from cramps all over, to enjoy myself, to take that money that I use to buy that product to use for other things.
And other products.
Yes.
Yes, and other products.
So,
yes.
so from one set of products to another set of products. Okay.
For me, it was just no more periods. And that I think was wonderful. I didn't think about all these other symptoms that, you know, people normally speak about because I just thought no more periods.
Right, but what has been the experience though for you ladies? What did you meet your expectations? Has the experience been what you expected?
Well, it wasn't so. I wasn't so much thinking of having any expectations. To me, no more periods, and for me, I don't know why that was such a biggie, because I usually before that had irregular periods. So it's not as if I had a period every month, but whether it's every month or a few months, that was not something that you were happy with.
Okay, and I can speak to
Yes,
a particular,
relate to us, Sister
based on
Verna.
what Marva just said, I realized, when I started looking at what menopause is, I realized that there is the perimenopause. You know, for years I've been saying, man, I'm menopausal and I'm hot. But it's when I really had the first heat wave that I realized, okay, so this is what they were talking about all along. And Marva, based on what you're saying, if there is not 12 consecutive months without the period, you're still in perimenopause. And so it means then that I'm still to reach menopause because,
That's
you understand, you know, having rejoiced for a certain amount of months, I'm here starting over my count because, you understand.
You start your rejoicing after 12 months.
Yes.
Have passed.
Yes.
But I heard Sister Clark say something about the signs and the symptoms.
Yes.
And how she rejoiced because she thought to herself, okay, no more period. That is a wonderful, wonderful outlook on it. Unfortunately, there are so many women who don't see the menopausal stage of their life as something to rejoice about because they do suffer some horrible symptoms sometimes. There's no two ways about that.
Yes.
And the thing about it is that, and to explain why we have these symptoms, let me just tell you something. Let me just give you a little biology here. The ovaries, menopause has to do with the function of our ovaries. The ovaries are the body's organ that will produce the cells that are going to be fertilized, child is going to be born. The ovary produces one cell, releases it to the uterus, one per month. The ovary also produces estrogen and progesterone, which will now get the womb ready to receive the cell, and if it is fertilized for the child to be cuddling it for 9 months before birth. If fertilization does not take place, then the womb is going to release everything, all the lining and everything that was put in place to receive the child, and that is what is known as our period, when all the blood that was lining the womb now comes down.
Yes.
As I said, the ovaries produce the progesterone and the estrogen. The thing with estrogen is that it affects not just the ovaries and the womb, but almost every organ, every part of our body.
Okay.
The greater part of estrogen is actually produced by the ovaries. And the ovaries start to decline in estrogen production as we get older. Now, as you get older and the levels start to drop, then, of course, everything that was affected by the estrogen is going to start to feel the ill effects. And that is why we have all of the symptoms of our menopause, the hot flushes, the night sweats, the irregular periods, difficulty concentration. As a matter of fact, somebody described all of 35 symptoms of menopause. Not one of them nice at all.
So this is what the big monster is all about, Sister Marva. This is what the big monster is all about. This is why we find the irritability and the mood swings and
Can you imagine?
weight gain,
So
and other
and
things.
the symptoms are physical as well as psychological. So you see that affects every part of the body. Now, some women will experience it to a greater degree than others. Some will be able to manage it better than others, but invariably all women are going to have sometimes some symptoms. And that is what caused the problems with menopause. The fact that you experience all of these symptoms, which can affect your life in so many ways.
You know, it is said that a woman is always in a state of menopause, whether it's the premenopausal state, the perimenopausal state, the menopausal state, or the postmenopausal state. The question I'd like to ask you, Sister Findlay, is do you think life really begins after menopause? But we're going to go to a commercial break right now. When we come back, you can answer that question.